Amara Chin had exactly 47 minutes to catch her connecting flight to Johannesburg when she collided headfirst with a tall stranger at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, sending her laptop, camera equipment, and dignity scattering across the terminal floor. "Pol Sana," the stranger said, immediately dropping to help gather her scattered belongings. "I'm so sorry, I was running." "You're running?" "I'm the one who's about to miss my flight to the biggest travel conference of the year." Amara snapped, then immediately felt terrible. The man was clearly just as frazzled as she was, his engineering textbooks and what looked like business loan documents scattered among her things. "Travel conference?" He looked up, and Amara noticed his eyes were kind despite the stress lines around them. "You're a travel writer?" "Blogger. And you're a student who's also having the worst day ever, judging by these rejection letters." They both paused, looking at each other amid the chaos of scattered papers. "I'm David," he said, handing her a camera lens. "Amara. And I think we're both screwed." David checked his watch. "Your flight?" 43 minutes. "You?" "Meeting with my last potential investor in 30 minutes. If this doesn't work out." He gestured at the loan rejection letters. Amara made a split-second decision that would have horrified her normally cautious self. "What if we help each other?" 20 minutes later, they were racing through Nairobi traffic in David's ancient Toyota Corolla, which he'd named Faithful for reasons that were becoming questionable as it made concerning noises. "Tell me about your business pitch," Amara said, frantically rebooking her flights on her phone while David navigated around a matatu that seemed to be held together by prayer and paint. "Eco-friendly transport solutions for Nairobi's growing tech sector," David said. "Electric matatus, solar charging stations, app-based booking system. I've got the engineering background. I know the routes. I understand the market. But investors keep saying it's too risky." "Because you're thinking too small," Amara said, looking up from her phone. "You're not just solving transport problems, you're creating a sustainable urban mobility ecosystem. And your pilot program isn't just for tech workers, it's for environmentally conscious consumers who want to be part of the solution." David glanced at her, surprised. "You got all that from 5 minutes?" "I've been to 47 countries and seen every transportation startup pitch imaginable. Trust me, you need better marketing." She paused. "Also, I missed my connection, so my conference trip is officially ruined. Want a co-conspirator in your investor meeting." "You do that? For a stranger? We're disaster twins now. Besides, I need material for my blog. And how I accidentally became a business partner in Kenya sounds way better than 10 overpriced hotels in Cape Town." David's investor meeting went better than either of them expected, partly because Amara's presence lent credibility to his international market potential, and partly because she was genuinely brilliant at pitching. They didn't get funding that day, but they got a maybe, which was more than David had gotten in months. "I owe you dinner," David said as they sat in his car afterward, both exhausted but oddly exhilarated. "I owe you entertainment. Do you know how boring my life has become?" Amara confessed. "I've been to all these amazing places, but I spend most of my time alone in hotel rooms editing photos and writing captions. I haven't had an actual conversation with someone my age in months." "What about friends back home?" "London friends think my job is just an extended vacation. Travel blogger friends are all competitors. And dating." She laughed ruefully. "Hard to maintain a relationship when you're gone 20 days a month." David nodded understanding. "Try being a broke engineering student with big dreams. My friends think I'm crazy for turning down job offers to chase this transport thing. My family thinks I should be married by now instead of living like a bachelor." "How old are you?" 28. "You?" 29. "And according to my mother, practically a spinster." They looked at each other and burst out laughing. "Want to make a pact?" Amara said impulsively. I'm stuck in Nairobi for 3 days until the next flight I can afford. You need someone to help with your business pitch. Let's be friends. Real friends. No agenda, no romance complications, just two disaster adults figuring out life together. Friends, David agreed, shaking her hand solemnly. But I'm warning you, my life is pretty boring compared to jet-setting around the world. Boring sounds perfect right now. Amara discovered that David's life was anything but boring. He lived in a small apartment in Kilimani that he shared with his cousin James, a medical student who was currently studying for exams by playing loud Afrobeat and talking to himself in multiple languages. That's just James, David explained as they entered to find James dancing around the living room with anatomy textbooks. He studies better when he's moving. I study better when David isn't bringing home strange women. James called out cheerfully. Are you the famous blogger? David's been talking about you all day. All good things, I hope, Amara said. He said you're terrifyingly smart and completely crazy. High praise from Mr. Cautious here. David threw a pillow at his cousin. Don't you have bones to memorize? Over ugali and sukuma wiki that David cooked while Amara Liv tweeted the experience, learning that there's no shame in admitting you can't cook when your new friend is a wizard in the kitchen. She learned about David's real life. He woke up at 5 a.m. every day to study before his part-time job driving for a rideshare company. He sent half his earnings to his parents in Kisumu, who were proud but worried about his refusal to take a stable engineering job. He'd been working on his transport business plan for 2 years, living on barely any sleep and endless optimism. Why not just take one of those job offers? Amara asked. Build up some capital first? Because I'm 28, and if I don't take the risk now, I'll be 40 and still talking about what I should have done, David said simply. Plus, I've seen what traffic in this city does to people. We need better solutions, not just more of the same. Amara found herself genuinely impressed. She'd met plenty of entrepreneurs in her travels, but most of them were chasing trends or quick profits. David was trying to solve real problems. What about you? David asked. Why travel blogging? Started as a way to fund my wanderlust after university. I was working a soul-crushing marketing job in London, saved up for one backpacking trip to Southeast Asia, and started blogging to keep my parents updated. Somehow it turned into a career. Do you love it? Amara paused, surprised by the directness of the question. I love traveling. I love writing. I love meeting people. But lately, she trailed off. Lately it feels like I'm performing my life instead of living it. Everything has to be content. Every meal, every sunset, every conversation gets filtered through, will this engage my audience? I haven't had a spontaneous moment in years. James looked up from his textbooks. Sounds exhausting. It is, Amara admitted. But it's also addictive. The likes, the comments, the brand partnerships. I'm successful, but I'm not sure I'm happy. David nodded thoughtfully. Success without satisfaction. Exactly. The next day, David insisted on showing Amara real Nairobi, which apparently started at 6 a.m. at a local gym where he worked out with a group of friends who'd formed their own informal fitness club. You brought them Zungu, called out Grace, a software developer who could deadlift twice her body weight. Does she even lift? I do yoga, Amara said defensively. Yoga is meditation, not exercise, laughed Peter, who worked in banking and was built like a rugby player. Let's see what you've got. An hour later, Amara was drenched in sweat, laughing harder than she had in months, and completely hooked on the group's dynamic. They were smart, funny, ambitious people who'd found ways to support each other's dreams while maintaining demanding careers. This is amazing, she told David as they walked to get breakfast afterward. How did you all meet? University friends who refused to drift apart. We meet 3 times a week to work out, and once a month for business advice sessions. Grace helped me with my app mock-ups. Peter reviewed my financial projections. And what do you do for them? I'm the one who makes sure we actually have fun instead of just talking about work all the time, David grinned. Someone has to be the social coordinator. Over the next 2 days, Amara got a complete immersion in David's social world. She met his neighbor Mrs. Wanjiku, who ran a small tailoring business and treated David like a son. She hung out with his evening study group, where graduate students from across Nairobi gathered to work on projects and share resources. She even attended his church, where David sang in the choir and helped run a youth mentorship program. You have an entire community, Amara marveled as they sat on his apartment building's rooftop on her last evening, sharing a bottle of wine and watching the city lights. Doesn't everyone? Not like this. In London, I know my neighbors' names but not their stories. My social life is industry events and brand launches. I have thousands of online friends and maybe 3 real ones. That sounds lonely. It is lonely. I didn't realize how lonely until this week. David was quiet for a moment. What happens when you go back? I don't know, Amara said honestly. I have a contract to fulfill, brand partnerships to maintain. But I also have a lot to think about. Like what? Like whether I want to keep living for other people's approval or if I want to try building something real. What would real look like? Amara considered this. Maybe less traveling to exotic places and more staying somewhere long enough to understand it. Maybe writing about solutions instead of just experiences. Maybe having friends who know me well enough to call me out when I'm being fake. That sounds nice. It does, doesn't it? They sat in comfortable silence, and Amara realized that for the first time in years, she wasn't thinking about content or angles or what this moment would look like on Instagram. She was just present. Amara's flight was at noon the next day, and she woke up with an odd sense of loss. In 3 days, David had become the kind of friend she'd forgotten was possible. Someone who listened without judgment, challenged her assumptions, and made her laugh until her sides hurt. I'm going to miss you, she told him honestly as he drove her to the airport. Miss you too. Promise to let me know how the Cape Town conference goes. Promise. And you'll update me on the investor meetings? Definitely. They hugged goodbye at the departure gate, and Amara felt like she was leaving behind more than just a friend. She was leaving behind a version of herself that she actually liked. The Cape Town conference was everything she'd expected. Networking, presentations, influencer parties, and opportunities to create content with other travel bloggers. She did her job, smiled for photos, and felt increasingly hollow with each passing day. On the last night, at a rooftop party overlooking Table Mountain, she found herself thinking about David's friend group, Mrs. Wanjiku's tailoring shop, and the way David's eyes lit up when he talked about sustainable transport solutions. Her phone buzzed with a message from David. Investor meeting tomorrow. Wish me luck. She immediately called him, not caring about international rates. Amara, how's Cape Town? Expensive and full of people who think I'm lucky to have such an easy job, she said, stepping away from the party noise. How are you feeling about tomorrow? Nervous, excited, terrified. David laughed. Grace helped me practice the pitch 12 times today. I think I'm as ready as I'll ever be. You'll be amazing. Just remember, you're not asking for charity. You're offering them a chance to be part of something important. Thanks. I needed to hear that. They talked for an hour about everything and nothing, until Amara realized she was happier talking to David from 1,000 miles away than she'd been all week surrounded by her industry peers. After hanging up, she stared at the Cape Town skyline and made a decision that surprised even her. David was in the middle of his investor presentation when his phone buzzed with a text from Amara. Outside your building. Don't freak out. He definitely freaked out. Sorry, he told the confused investors. I need just one moment. He stepped into the hallway and called Amara immediately. What do you mean you're outside my building? Aren't you in South Africa? I was. Now I'm here. Long story. How's the meeting going? It was going well until I got distracted by your mysterious reappearance. Are you seriously here? Lobby. With coffee and moral support. David grinned despite his confusion. Give me 15 minutes to finish this. Then you have a lot of explaining to do. The presentation went better than David had dared hope. The investors were interested, asking detailed questions and taking notes. They promised a decision within a week. Now, David said as he and Amara sat in the lobby afterward, explain why you're in Nairobi instead of building your brand in Cape Town. I quit, Amara said simply. You what? Not completely. I mean, I'm transitioning away from the travel blogging thing. I want to try something different. Like what? Like helping my friend build his sustainable transport empire. If he'll have me as a partner. David stared at her. Amara, you can't just upend your entire life on a whim. It's not a whim. I've been thinking about this for months, even before I met you. The Cape Town conference just confirmed it. I don't want that life anymore. I want to build something that matters with people I actually care about. But your career, your income, your whole life is in London. My career was making me miserable. My income came from promoting products I didn't believe in, and my life in London was just an expensive way to be lonely, Amara said. David, in 3 days you showed me what I'd been missing. Community, purpose, friendship that doesn't depend on my follower count. So you're moving to Kenya? Just like that? Just like that. Well, not permanently at first. I've got a 3-month visa to figure things out. I want to document your business launch, write about sustainable development in East Africa, maybe help other entrepreneurs with their marketing. David was quiet for a long moment. Are you sure about this? Really sure. I've never been more sure of anything. The question is, do you want a partner who comes with marketing skills and a questionable tendency to make impulsive life decisions? David's grin was answer enough, but he said it anyway. Welcome to the team, partner. David's Destiny Transport Solutions had grown from a pipe dream to a pilot program with 5 electric Mercedes and a waiting list of drivers who wanted to join. Amara's documentation of the launch had attracted international attention, leading to a feature in Fast Company and interest from impact investors across Africa. Sister Amara called Mrs. Wanjiku as they walked past her shop. When are you going to teach my daughter how to use that Instagram for her business? Tomorrow afternoon, same as every Saturday, Amara replied in passable Swahili. And when are you two going to stop pretending you're just business partners? Mrs. Wanjiku added with a knowing look. David and Amara exchanged glances. Over the past 6 months, their friendship had deepened into something neither of them had experienced before. A partnership built on mutual respect, shared goals, and genuine affection. But they'd been so focused on building the business and Amara's new life in Nairobi that they'd carefully avoided addressing the growing tension between them. We're taking things slow, Mrs. Wanjiku, David said diplomatically. Slow is for old people, she laughed. You're both young and stubborn. Don't wait until you're my age to figure out what everyone else can already see. That evening, as they worked late in their shared office space, Amara finally brought up the elephant in the room. David, He was focused on route optimization algorithms. Are we being idiots? About the charging station locations? Maybe. We might need more data. About us. David looked up from his laptop. What about us? Everyone keeps hinting that we should be more than friends and business partners. Are we missing something obvious? David saved his work and closed his laptop, giving her his full attention. What do you think? I think, Amara said carefully, that I've never had a friendship like ours. You're the first person I've ever wanted to build a life with, not just share one with. That sounds like more than friendship. It does, doesn't it? They looked at each other across their cluttered desk, surrounded by business plans and marketing materials, and Amara realized that somewhere in the past 6 months, she'd fallen completely in love with her best friend. I don't want to mess this up, she said softly. Neither do I, David replied. This, our friendship, our business, our life together, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. So what do we do? David stood up and walked around the desk, holding out his hand. We stop overthinking and see what happens. Amara took his hand, and when he pulled her into his arms, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. For the record, David said just before he kissed her, I've been in love with you since you helped me nail that investor pitch. For the record, Amara replied, I've been in love with you since you made me yuggly and didn't judge my terrible cooking skills. We're both disaster adults, David laughed. The best kind, Amara agreed. Wandering with Purpose had become one of East Africa's most read blogs about sustainable development and social entrepreneurship. David's Destiny Transport had expanded to 3 cities, with plans for regional growth. And Amara and David had become that couple that everyone loved to hate, the ones who were genuinely best friends, business partners, and completely, disgustingly happy together. You know what I love most about our story? Amara said as they sat on their apartment balcony, sharing evening tea and planning their next business expansion, that we almost missed our flights, that we started as friends, real friends. All the best love stories do. David kissed her forehead. Speaking of love stories, Grace wants to know if we're ever getting married so she can start planning the world's most over-the-top wedding. Are we? Amara asked, surprised by how much she wanted the answer to be yes. Do you want to? I want everything with you. Marriage, kids, growing old together, fighting about business decisions for the next 50 years. That sounds perfect, David said. But let's finish launching the Kampala route first. Deal. But I'm picking the ring. Deal. But I'm picking the honeymoon destination. As long as it's somewhere we can work, Amara laughed. Would I suggest anything else? As the sun set over Nairobi, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and purples, Amara reflected on how wrong she'd been about what she wanted from life. She'd thought she needed adventure, excitement, constant movement. Instead, she'd found something better. A partner who made everyday life feel like the greatest adventure of all. Thanks for watching.